Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the 8-Bit Adventures podcast, bringing you the latest and greatest geeky news of the week. I am your host, Sean Hayes, and with me is my wonderful co-host, as always, Courtney Bolin.
Hey.
So, we're back. We got a lot of sort of controversies happening this week.
Yeah.
And we definitely have some stuff in the deep dive. So,
Yes.
that are just things that we've been up to, basically, and want to talk about.
Absolutely. I'm excited for deep dive tonight.
Yeah.
But
first,
so why don't you jump right in with our first quick fire news?
Yes. All right, so first up, right off the bat, bit of controversy with the PlayStation 5. So there were news reports that came out that the PS5 will record voice chats when you are grouped up in multiplayer for safety and moderation purposes. Users will not be able to disable this feature, so you cannot opt out of it. Catherine Jensen, VP of Global Consumer Experience for Sony, claims that it will, quote, not actively monitor or listen in on your conversations ever, end quote, and that the feature is reserved for capturing audio to accompany reports of abuse or harassment. So what this is it'll record something like the last 30 seconds or whatever, and allow you to submit that if you file a harassment report for voice chat specifically. Now, if you don't participate in voice chat, I mean, that's a way to kind of opt out of it.
Yeah.
But that's a bold strategy on that one. So
that is, that's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see if that pulls off.
Yeah.
So less controversy, things that we're actually looking forward to in Pokemon news. The Crown Tundra DLC releases tomorrow, October 22nd. So I know we're going to be talking more about that in the deep dive. So Sean?
Yep. Sorry, I'm realizing that there's stuff out of order in the show notes. Okay, so back to controversial news. I realized that I kind of gave myself all of the controversial news this week.
Yep, you did. You did.
Blizzard France is being closed, is being shut down. I think it might have already been shut down already. Primarily by Activision. There are labor unions in France calling for the developers to strike. So, citing, I'm not really sure what they were citing. Poor performance, maybe? So I know Blizzard France is typically done for localization purposes, I believe. But this is, and the studio would be moving to London.
Okay.
Which has brought up its own set of can of worms.
I mean, that's a whole, that's a whole other issue.
So, just another day, another PR blunder for Activision Blizzard, it seems.
So we get some sad news about She-Hulk. Tatiana Muslany will not be playing She-Hulk in the upcoming. It's a movie, right?
TV series.
It is the TV series. Okay.
TV series.
There's still so many different series and movies coming out. It's
like none of the TV series happened, and none of the new films happened.
Exactly. So they're all still in my head about like, okay, well, there's all these things coming out. Wait, which one is it again? Yeah. Back to more controversy, Sean.
Yeah, more controversy. So according to an article from Polygon, Margaret Weis and Tracy Hickman are suing Wizards of the Coast for what they allege are a breach of contract for quote-unquote canceling an upcoming Dragonlance trilogy that they had submitted several drafts for, and they claim were accepted by Wizards, and then sort of sidelined amidst all of the sort of PR controversy earlier this year with how Wizards sort of treats certain categories of employees regarding specifically minorities and women on both the D&D side and the Magic the Gathering side. They are currently suing for $10 million of damages and restitution for this. So we'll see how that plays out. There's not really a whole lot of information aside from that. And that's just what's publicly available as when Polygon pressed for more information. Both said it's now in litigation, or the litigation process has started, so neither are commenting further on it. So
fair. I'm really, really excited about this one. I just saw the headline of it a little bit earlier this week. But Stardew Valley, we keep getting little updates about update 1.5. And we have now confirmed that they will bring split screen co-op to console and PC. So I'm really excited about that. You get that, Sean.
okay.
Yeah. I'm really excited about that because like playing together is great, but a lot of games have gone away from split screen, and I'm really happy to see Stardew bringing some back.
Yeah, so they talked about, so I believe PC will have up to 4-player split screen, and consoles will likely have 2-player split screen.
Nice.
Yeah. I think that's kind of what they're looking at right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right.
It's still, hey, they're still getting split screen. Like, that's awesome.
Yes. Spider-Man 3 has officially started production. So in another sort of MCU Sony crossover, will feature Doctor Strange, and in a bizarre twist, will feature Jamie Foxx's Electro from The Amazing Spider-Man 2. So it's crossing Marvel Cinematic Universe with not Marvel Cinematic Universe. So they're thinking, because this will theoretically come out after Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, that it has some sort of tie-in with that happening. So it might be more weird Spider-Verse type stuff.
Hey, I'm okay with Spider-Verse. Like, I'm legit okay with weird Spider-Verse stuff.
Yeah.
I love seeing different Spider-Men and women.
Yeah.
And pigs.
Yep. So who knows whether it's just he reprises that role for the MCU or something. We don't know yet.
Yeah, that'll be very interesting.
So yeah.
I know you like cookbooks, Sean. So when I saw this earlier today, I was really excited about it. There is a new official D&D cookbook called Heroes Feast by Kyle Newman, John Peterson, and Michael Whitwer. It is going on sale next week, October 27th, for $35. And on Amazon, local bookstores, it is 212 pages of high-quality comfort food and D&D lore peppered in. Pun absolutely intended.
All right, and our last bit of news. So, for fans of Critical Role, Matthew Mercer posted 2 new subclasses to D&D Beyond that are available if you allow Critical Role content in your games. For familiar to fans of, especially Campaign 2, is the Way of the Cobalt Soul subclass for monks, which is used by Beauregard in...
Played by the beautiful Marisha Rai.
Yes. But also Oath of the Open Sea, which is a little spoilery, but was revealed in the last session for a certain half-orc warlock paladin. Those are both available right now on D&D Beyond. So, yes. New stuff.
Yeah.
And
stuff.
And they're fully fleshed out subclasses, so we get to see things that are not technically available in the show yet.
Yeah, we get to see we get to see where
what
this
they
path
will
is going
eventually
to go.
be capable of. Yeah.
Yes.
So, one thing to keep in mind is these are likely. I don't know how much play testing has gone into them. I mean, Cobalt Soul a bit more than this Paladin Oath probably. But So that's something to keep in mind. Otherwise, I mean, they look very cool, very flavorful. Definitely a bit more powerful than some of the other subclasses, but I think that's okay. But yeah,
I'm not complaining about it. I think they
currently
look
available right now.
great. Right now.
So that takes care of the quickfire news this week. So it's time for our deep dive. Okay. So, I've got a couple things that I want. Basically, what I've been up to now that I've kind of been reworking my work schedule and taking care of Theo and doing all sorts of stuff. So basically, I have gotten into Dragon's Dogma on Switch. Now, tell
us about that, Sean.
It's kind of an open world Skyrim-like game by Capcom, I believe. I think it's by Capcom. But it's done as like a European fantasy, open world game. It has a class system, and like skills and stuff. So, kind of reminiscent of like Final Fantasy job and skill type stuff.
Yep.
It's one of the things where the story and a lot of the quest lines and everything are not great. Very kind of boring, very simple. However, is actually playing the game. So once you get outside of that and you just like go around and just play the game, it's a lot of fun.
Yep. Good.
So it very much focuses on like an action style, and using sort of mechanics and stuff to play in the world, as opposed to like it doesn't suddenly bring you into a turn-based combat type thing, or just like Warcraft where you'll use abilities and like they won't really affect the environment at all or anything like that. So, for example, the Ranger gets a longbow skill that when you hit an enemy with it, if there is a wall or surface nearby, it will pin them to that and stun them for a certain period of time. So, like, it's great for fighting in tunnels, which is something that you don't really think about all that much for bow users.
Yeah, no, that's definitely... Tunnels and bows just don't work in my mind.
Yeah.
Unless you're like doing like, Vex would do an oracle arrow down to see something, but like in general that just doesn't compute.
Yeah. And it's things like if you wield daggers, you can unlock double jumping. So like when you're in midair, you do a somersault in midair to like double jump. You can unlock like chain combo attacks. Fighters that use shields can get skills that like you put your shield up and like Shield Knight. You can have an ally jump on top of your shield and you launch them.
Yeah.
So
I love
things
seeing
like that.
I love seeing that move specifically in like fight scenes in superhero movies.
Yeah. And then kind of the interesting thing is
Oh no.
What? Oh, we lost Courtney. Oh, there we go. Now she's back. There we go. So, an interesting thing is for the larger monsters. So things like giants, some ogres, cyclops, griffins. You can jump on them. So there's like a grab command, sort of like there is in Smash Brothers, right, where you're grappling onto something, but it's like a distinct button. So you can actually like grapple things as part of combat. Now for bigger things, you can jump onto it, grab onto it, and then climb around and try and attack different parts of the creature, like Shadows of the Colossus. For smaller enemies like humanoids is like some of your AI companions will like grab onto them and hold them in place so that you can essentially beat them.
Nice.
Or like pin them to the ground.
Yep.
So that's a really interesting thing, and they have different mechanics for exploiting that. So yeah, it's just
Yeah.
it's an older game. It was for Xbox 360, I think.
Yeah.
I want to say it's for Xbox 360. It still
That
looks like
sounds
it holds
right.
up pretty well. The character creator is by far one of the most in-depth ones I have seen. And it's all visual. Like, how you build your character, there are no... Like, you can make a dwarf, you can make an elf, you can make a half-orc, you can make whatever you want, and it has no bearing on character stats.
Good.
The only thing that does is, and I've seen this only in a couple cases, is like how tall or short you make your character. Because there are some tunnels that like a halfling sized character could get through, but like a normal height person cannot. I mean, it was tunnels like dug by goblins, and so because they're a little bit shorter.
But to be fair, that's one thing that no.
Courtney must be dropping out again. There she goes. But yeah, so conversely, if you make a really tall character, is it will theoretically help you like reach, higher up stuff better. So like when you jump, you could reach like higher ledges. You can reach flying monsters easier.
Yeah, there we go. Sorry,
So.
Discord's being weird with me tonight. It doesn't like me.
Oh no.
Yeah, it said it wasn't detecting my mic. But no, that makes sense. I mean, if you are small, you can fit into things better. If you is tall, you can reach things. Like how I ask the tall people in the aisle to get me the fluff at Market 32.
Yeah.
Because they put it on the top shelf and I can't reach it.
There's also a crafting system. It's not as in-depth as other games that I've seen. It's basically when you select an item, it has like a combine option, and it'll give you some basic recipes that you can combine stuff with. But yeah, so it's just it's really interesting from a mechanical standpoint. So it's definitely something where trying to figure out what I need to actually be doing is a bit of a slog. Again, story and the quest progression, not great. But it's one of those games where, like, sure, I could wander around and just see if, like, a griffin's going to show up and, get into a combat. Or to go explore. Exploration is kind of dangerous. So, yeah. Nighttime is very, like, more monsters appear at night. And it gets pretty dark. So, like, you have lanterns that you have to equip and, like, fill with oil and stuff. And so, basically, like, I mean, it gives you a little bit of visibility, but at the same time, it also means people can see you from far away. So, there's that. And since you're all human, technically, there's no dark vision or night vision or anything like that.
It sounds like people can see what you do in the shadows.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh.
So that is something else I wanted to talk about.
Yes, it is. Courtney is good at segues.
I binged both seasons yesterday. So it's about 20 episodes. And it's really good. So for fans of Taika Waititi's work, it has kind of that sort of offbeat humor that's a little awkward but really funny. It's based on his movie of the same name, but it features like it just in concept, I would guess, because it doesn't have the same characters and the same cast. But it's the overall concept where it's a documentary about sort of the daily lives of vampires, this time sort of a group of vampires that live in Staten Island.
That's just beautiful. I remember when I was working overnights, I saw a lot of commercials for it, and it looked good, and I never watched it because it wasn't on.
We always take this with a grain of salt, because it's Rotten Tomatoes, and we know how that can swing or whatever. But it does have a 97% fresh rating among audiences, and an 8.8 out of 10 rating among critics. So it's pretty good. From what I understand, it is a Hulu exclusive, because it is rated TVMA for mostly language.
I was going to say, I'm assuming mostly language.
Mostly language. There is some violence and some scandalous situations, we'll say.
Ooh, scandal.
Scandalous, yeah. Yeah. And sort of scandalous themes, we'll say as well.
Okay. You know,
it was very good. It was very funny.
I'm very proud of you for binge watching 20 episodes.
I mean, it's basically,
very proud.
You know, we started at like 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Ish.
No.
And I just let it run. I didn't get done until like 11 o'clock at night. So there's that. I
admire your binge. As from one queen binger, you know, to you, I applaud that. I genuinely do.
Yeah. So
Another
it
time.
is currently, I think
Seriously.
it's only available on Hulu. So be sure to give that a look. Highly recommend it. Don't watch it with the kiddos around unless, you know, because the language is a bit harsh.
Unless they can't comprehend language yet.
Yeah. Yeah. So. And then Crown Tundra releases, I mean, basically later this week. Or today, if you're listening on the 22nd.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm excited.
Just, it kind of snuck up on me.
It started to sneak up on me until we mentioned it like last week. And then I was like, oh, wait, I have to like get my Switch ready and get like everybody on my party ready and all of that. And then I saw like as it's coming out sooner, we've been getting a lot more leaks. And so one of the leaks that we have recently gotten, according to Centro Leaks, was 2 new legendary horse Pokemon that will play a pivotal role in the story. These 2 new legendaries appear to be ice and ghost type. And they may also be able to combine with Calyrex into 2 alternative forms. Similar to how you were able to choose the tower for Urshifu in the Isle of Armor. This time, it sounds like you may be able to choose one of the 2 for the storyline. But it's still unclear if it's going to be the exact, you know, if that is what's going to be happening. We will find out in the next 24 hours.
Yep.
I'm really excited for this. I've been needing.
I have also heard that there will be a way to access hidden abilities in Crown Tundra, so that's
Nice.
neat. And that's pretty good. Because let me tell you, I really am not that much of a fan of like starter abilities.
Yeah. I've read also something about Ultra Beasts being able to be caught.
Probably. I mean,
but
it's Crown Tundra is going to reintroduce like all of the legendaries. So
yes. So I'm excited about that.
The thing is, like, I don't know. Ultra Beasts are basically just legendaries that you can use a special ball to catch. Like, that's really all. They're still Pokemon. Like, I don't know. Sun and Moon just
yeah, that's a fair, just Sun and Moon. Ugh, yes.
Yeah. So one other topic that I wanted to talk about was, so basically next week Courtney won't be available.
Nope.
I was trying to get a guest on to do an interview and I haven't heard back from anybody. So the plan is I will do a solo cast. And what I will do is if you have any questions or comments for the 8-Bit Adventures podcast, Tales of Jamora, Berkshire Bites. Sorry, my wife came in and was pointing at a thing and just standing there menacingly.
Just
and not
pointing.
saying anything and just pointing at a thing.
Just pointing.
So, basically, we're going to do what is typically known as a mailbag episode. So, send me your stuff. I will answer it live on the podcast and live on Twitch. If you wish to have it be anonymous, you can certainly say that, and I will not say your name. If you want to have your name said, you can certainly do that. How do you let us know? There are a couple ways that you can let us know. You can either email me at sean@8bitadventures.com. You can
SEAN.
You can post them on our page on Facebook. And I would say those are or you can direct message the page on Facebook. So facebook.com/8bitadventures. I'm going to say those are probably the two best ways. Right now, Twitter's not great as a way to get a hold of me. So
yeah, Twitter's a little toxic these days. Twitter's.
So yeah. So we're gonna answer questions, answer feedback, talk about it live on the podcast next week. So if you have any questions, comments, or anything, send them to me, and we'll do it live. I will still do quickfire news, deep dive, and all that stuff. I just won't have Courtney here to banter with. So it might be a bit of a shorter episode, especially if nobody sends their stuff in. Yep. So
I will be giving Sean an update on my quest log though, on Tuesday, so that you guys can still know what I have been able to complete of my quests of the week. So you will still get a little update about me, but it will not be from me.
Or alternatively, you can post it in our Discord. So I threw a link in the chat. You can also come to twitch.tv/8bitadventures. There should be a link panel on the channel page for Discord. You just click that, and you'll get an invite. So, Discord, for those that don't know, is like a chat server. So it's like little chat rooms that you can chat with other people. We have a kind of a small crew, but it's all good people. It's mostly the Tales of Jamora cast, plus a few other folks that are local to the area. I personally know almost everybody, except for one person, but you kind of know them. So,
online friends are real friends.
Yes. So those are the best ways to send in your stuff. So again, if you want me to answer it, I will. So yeah. So it's a little weird thing that's happening. And I will say that maybe if we get 10 questions or comments, that perhaps I will do the podcast in costume.
Ooh.
So there we go.
That would be fun.
And I will say get them in by noon on Wednesday. That's the deadline.
There we go. So noon on October 28th.
Yep.
Awesome.
So, all right. That's going to kind of wrap up our deep dive. So let's move along to quest log. Quest log is where we talk about what's on our geeky to-do lists, and what we've accomplished, and what we would like to do in the upcoming week.
Yes. So as I mentioned in the quickfire news and in the deep dive, I am getting my Pokemon team kind of ready for this new DLC. And so I'm really looking forward to next week being able to say, give Sean that little update of what I've gotten done, what I've captured, what I have found, and how far into that DLC that I have gotten. I also made some major progress on my goal this week. I was on episode 78 of High Rollers Aerois. I am now halfway through episode 84 as of today. Thank you to being sick over the weekend. And so there's 87 current episodes. So I have the rest of 84, 85, 86, and 87. And then I'm completely caught up on Aerois. So I have made some awesome progress on that, and I should definitely have that completed. And episode 88, I should also have listened to or be listening to on my drive next Wednesday. So
Cool.
yes. What about you, Sean?
So for one thing, I will give an update, as I have been listening more of Critical Hit's playthrough of Sentinels of the Multiverse role-playing game. Yeah, I don't think you'd dig it, Courtney.
Yeah. Is it more just like the game?
It's basically if you were playing the card game as just a theater of the mind combat game.
Yeah.
Like there's not really any role playing that goes into it.
No. I like the role play part.
Yeah.
The role play part,
and like you have to come up with creative stuff, but like there's not dialogue and character motivation type things.
Yeah.
It's more of just like, I don't know, one-liners.
Yeah.
In between your turns, kind of a thing, and it's like, So, all right. So for me, I completed one of two goals.
Hey.
It was I did not work on any artwork. At least I don't think I did. It's hard for me to remember from last week. But I don't think I did, so I'm not counting it. However, I did boot up Pokemon and went around and caught more Digletts. So I thought I had more time. So in this upcoming week, the goal is to find all of the remaining Digletts.
You must be getting close by now.
I think I have like 4 more sections.
Okay.
4 or 5 more sections. I have about half the island done.
Yeah.
And then again, color chapter or create an item icon is on my to-do list. So
cool.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna add one more thing here because it'll be easy to do.
Righty.
I'm gonna level my gnome priest in World of Warcraft to level 50 because that's the new level cap right now. She's like level 49.75.
Okay.
So basically, I could get that done like tonight.
Hey, but you know
what?
And
then work on my Death Knight. Also gnomish Death Knight. I have a lot of gnomes.
You say that like it's a bad thing.
To many it is.
No,
but it's not. It's not. They're adorable.
It's
so.
Not. Mm-hmm. Except when they're coming at you as zombies. Like Cornflakes did this week in the 8-Bit Adventures comic.
That wasn't Cornflakes. That was Melody.
That was Melody?
That was Melody.
Cornflakes is off somewhere then.
And it's a costume, Courtney.
Still.
It's a costume.
Zambies.
It's meant to be silly. It's not meant to be scary.
Zambies.
Or as how I explained to my wife. So there's... Because she asked me before if something was spooky. And I was like, well, there's a difference between spooky and scary. Spooky is it has all of the Halloween themes and like horror themes, but it's not scary. Like it's fun.
Nightmare
Before
Christmas
is spooky.
Yep.
Hocus
Corpse
Pocus.
Bride. Yeah.
Hocus Pocus is spooky.
Yep. Think
Nightmare
of a
on Elm
Tim
Street
Burton
and Friday the 13th are scary. So that's that's it's we were talking about what we do in the shadows, and if it was spooky or scary, and it's it's spooky. It's not very scary.
And then there's the definition and the difference between spoopy and spooky.
No.
Yes.
Now,
yes.
So
yes.
That's what I have on my list to do. We really blazed through that. So I guess we just have some free time.
We do.
I don't have a sound effect for that.
Oh, man.
I'm just gonna pick one. Okay, so this is just free time.
I like that.
We went through everything in about 40 minutes. So
yeah, wow, that was very quick tonight.
So yeah. So basically, I guess it's circling back to deep dive.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. So this Dragonlance thing.
Yes.
To circle back to that. So this is why I tell people that we are likely never seeing Dragonlance come back. So for those who are coming in late, so Dragonlance is a novel series that was done in the 80s, like through the 90s and 2000s. That started as a Dungeons and Dragons campaign setting, and it was a campaign, like it was somebody's home campaign, and they were like, "Oh, we should just write books about our characters," and then they did. It became pretty popular.
So, like, if my notebook from Tales of Jamora became just a novelization of the Tales of Jamora,
kind of, but like if we actually had like professional authors writing it and stuff.
Yeah.
And then it ballooned out into like this whole world. Basically the primary authors were working on a trilogy. There was controversial stuff happening at Wizards of the Coast earlier this year. So they kind of like canceled it, but not canceled it in a way that doesn't void the contract, but kind of puts it on indefinite hiatus. Like it puts it on indefinite hiatus. So it's a whole thing. But basically, to point out how complicated the rights are for something like that, where it's not just Wizards of the Coast because they own D&D, they own this property. It's also, owned by these other people.
Yeah.
So, and we've seen this before with like the Scott Pilgrim game and like how that was a whole mess trying to get that back onto stores, where there are 4 different rights holders for that property.
Wow.
And so that's why the fact that it's coming back in 2 months is a miracle, because you have Brian Lee O'Malley, you have the comic publishers, which are I think it's Oni Press, maybe. Yeah, it's Oni Press.
What does your box set say?
That's what it says. I'm shocked that I can read it at this distance, just because of my eyeball issues going on right now. So you have Brian Lee O'Malley, you have Oni Press, you have it was Ubisoft were the developers of the game, and then you also have Universal Pictures.
Oh, the movie rights. Now that they own they have the movie rights.
And so you have to have all 4 in agreement in order to put that game out.
Yeah.
Because it's based on the movie, which is based on the comics, kind of a thing. So, but that's why Dragonlance likely to never come back, just because it's in kind of a legal quagmire with stuff like this going on right now, and especially this lawsuit is probably burning some bridges as we speak.
It wouldn't. Yeah, no, would not be surprised.
Yeah. So I just saw that today, and I was like, well, this is a mess. Yeah. What will likely happen is they'll likely settle for less than $1 million, I think. Because they probably wouldn't have gotten that in sales. Yeah. God, we ended way too early.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm really excited about this.
We got too efficient at talking about topics now, Courtney.
Man, it only took us, 195 episodes.
Yeah. Oh, here's the thing. We should start planning on what we're gonna do for our 200th episode. So let's see. So that'll
Yes.
happen. So next week is 196.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Oh
next
my
week is when...
goodness. Episode
What?
200 is going to be the day before Thanksgiving.
Oh, man. Oh, wow.
So
That's,
that we may have to, well, it might happen depending on what everybody's schedules are.
yeah.
Yeah, we would definitely have to do a special one for that.
We'll do something special.
Maybe we'll dress up as turkeys.
Sorry, for the podcast listeners, I'm giving Sean a very quizzical, like, who do you think I am kind of look.
A turkey.
No.
A turkey
No.
in disguise.
No. Those things are a nuisance, and I hate that they're protected. Cause
Heather just posted in the chat recipes from various fandoms.
ooh,
Possibly.
That would actually be really fun. Because there's some
I
Stardew meals.
I think what we could do is perhaps a reading of a traditional American Thanksgiving dinner from the World of Warcraft cookbook, since there are enough recipes in there to cover the entirety of a Thanksgiving meal. A traditional American Thanksgiving meal.
I mean, to be fair,
Quote, unquote.
Heroes Feast will also be out in time for Thanksgiving.
So here's the thing, though, is D&D doesn't really have a lot of iconic food outside of, like, trail rations and good berries.
No, that's fair. No, there's all sorts of different types of recipes that I saw that they put in there. Let me see if I can find that again.
Whereas it not going to give me the World of Warcraft has some really iconic stuff. Like, if you play the game. Whereas, like, I don't know. I mean, over the past 3 years of playing D&D, I mean, my character's go-to meal has been, like, goblin meat.
Is it your ranger character?
Yeah.
has been whatever we've just killed.
It's just like, you will be eaten last. So. Yeah, we could do something like that. We could start gathering some recipes, have a little recipe segment.
That would be fun. Also, for anybody that is still listening, about the Heroes Feast stuff, it is actually available to, like, pre-order right now, and it's almost $10 off on Amazon for a hardcover.
I would say support your local bookstore.
Fair.
Instead.
If you are the type of person who downloads things to, say, your Kindle for, like, cooking,
yeah,
I know my mother.
Yeah.
I know my mom uses her tablet a lot for keeping recipes on it, and she has some stuff like that on it. So it is also available in that fun digital format as well. And I believe it's available on Nook and Kindle. Yes, it is available in Nook and Kindle formats. So
we should also figure out if we're going to do another. It would have to be online, but to do another holiday special. Tales of Tomorrow holiday special.
That would be very fun to do. But yeah, so the look inside that D&D, like, Wizards has elven bread for the sample recipe, and then they have a drink called the Mind Flayer.
Yeah, so this is stuff, like, it's just inspired by D&D, it sounds like.
But it is officially D&D. It is official Wizards.
Well, that just means it's licensed.
Yes, it is officially licensed.
So that just means, Courtney, that they can use the words Mind Flayer in it and not have to worry about getting sued by Hasbro.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it has, like, Bitopian shepherd's bread, iron rations, savory hand pies, hogs and bedrolls, a whole bunch of different vegetarian, meaty, and fish. Yeah. I can talk. I swear.
We're gonna be eating film tonight.
But there's vegetarian meat and fish mains. So there's like braised beef recipes, omelet golden brown roasted turkey, drow mushroom steaks, and moonshay seafood risotto. There's also desserts like Heartland's rose apple and blackberry pie, yawning portal biscuit, and Cholton zombie. They have some cocktails in there too. As I said, with the Mind Flayer, it is a vodka, ginger, and grape juice drink. So that's like all sorts of everything of foods. So there's 80 different dishes and lore
Okay.
in the book.
All right.
So I think it looks really yummy. I think it looks
okay.
really, really yummy.
It kind of reminds me of.
Now I'm hungry, Sean.
Megan has like a Doctor Who cookbook.
Now I'm hungry.
And it's kind of like that, where it's stuff inspired by Doctor Who, but it's not necessarily anything that actually appears in Doctor Who. Oh, Courtney's out and she's back. So, here's what we should probably end the show at this point then. So, thank you all for joining us for the 8-Bit Adventures podcast, and with bonus content even tacked on at the very end of it. If you want to see more content from 8-Bit Adventures, be sure to check out 8-bitadventures.com. Over there you can find comics, artwork, podcast streams, and more. If you'd like to help support that content, you can subscribe right here on Twitch. Help me unlock more emotes for everybody. Because emotes. All dem emotes.
Yeah.
Hang on, I'm posting them in the chat. The more emotes, the better for everybody. So you get access to those emotes as a subscriber. You can also support us on Patreon at patreon.com/8bitadventures. Patrons get things like early access to comics, behind the scenes content, a discount on merchandise, which you can pick up at shop.8bitadventures.com. Let's see if I gotta check, man, for that.
Ooh.
I don't. There we go. And Patreon. There we go. Finally, our opening theme is One Up by Professor Shy Guy. You can find his work over at professorshyguy.bandcamp.com. And with that, we are actually done. So, as always, have fun, everyone. Happy gaming, and enjoy your pie cake.
Ready?